Was good, y'all. There is a new powerhouse in the Western Conference, as you can tell by the title, the thumbnail. I'm sure you heard about it other places as well. Kevin Durant is now on the Houston Rockets. As you guys can see here, I have a Sengun jersey. I'm a big Sengun guy. The Rockets are like kind of my secondary team, I would say. You know, I watched them a lot last year. Like I said, big Sengun fan, big Amen Thompson fan. I really like what the Rockets got going on, and now they're adding Kevin Durant to that. In case you guys don't know the full details of the trade, it is Kevin Durant going to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th overall pick in this year's draft coming up next week, and then 5 second-round picks going to the Phoenix Suns. And as always, I'm going to talk about the trade from the perspective of the team that got the best player, and of course, that is the Houston Rockets getting Kevin Durant. I believe that this is a fantastic trade. I'm going to give my grade later on after I talk about it a little bit, but I love this trade for the Houston Rockets. They're coming off a season where they surprised everyone and were the number 2 seed behind their great defense. And then we saw, you know, throughout the regular season and even more in the playoffs when they versed the Golden State Warriors, their offense was a big issue, especially in the half court, because they didn't have a go-to guy that can score. Obviously, Sengun was a first-time All-Star this year. You know, you can play out of the post for him. His playmaking is an option as well. But when it came to strictly scoring, he was pretty inefficient, and that comes with, I guess, his young age. We hope that he can develop and become more efficient and more of a powerful scorer. Then also Jalen Green, one of the guys they shipped off here, had a horrific playoff series. He had that one good game where he dropped like 38 or something like that. All the other games, though, he was like single digits, less than 20 points, whatever it was. Their offense was a huge issue for them. They didn't have that go-to guy. And when you talk about go-to scorers, I don't know if there's anyone more that I would want in league history than Kevin Durant. And I know he's 36 years old. He's on the last year of his deal. There's a lot of things that can make you worry a little bit about Kevin Durant and bringing him onto your roster. But when you look at the need, we already established they have a need for a player like Kevin Durant. And then you look at what they have to give up. I mean, Jalen Green, like I said, super disappointing playoff series, and he's been very up and down throughout his career, inefficient. You know, he has stretches where he looks great, and then he has stretches where he looks pretty bad. So I would assume the head coach, Ime Udoka, the front office, they kind of all decided who they wanted and what they thought of Jalen Green, so he kind of got fit into this trade package. They also gave up Dillon Brooks, who... great guy, you know, he's a starter in this league. He is a great defender. His three-point shot in Houston especially was looking very good as well. A solid contributor, but again, you're getting Kevin Durant. And then you look at the draft capital, the 10th overall pick, which is, you know, solid. You know, obviously lottery picks are very valuable. This team was just the 2nd seed, though. Like I mentioned, they are now going quickly from a rebuilding, promising young team to a team that's looking to shake some stuff up in the playoffs. I'm not saying contend and win a championship, but they're going to try to win playoff series and make those playoff pushes. So it makes sense on not really wanting that 10th overall pick in your roster. And then 5 second-round picks. I don't know. When you add the need for him and what they gave up, they hit it out the park. This is a fantastic deal in my eyes. And now when you look at this roster, you have a starting lineup that will look something like Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr., Alperen Sengun. When you talk about a starting 5, besides Fred VanVleet, who's like 6'1", the smallest guy on that team is 6'7". They're going to be able to switch defensively. I'm really high on Jabari Smith Jr. Obviously, everyone knows Amen Thompson, the great things he's been doing. Like I mentioned, Sengun being a first-time All-Star last year. Now you add in a killer scorer like Kevin Durant. I really love this for the Rockets. And then off the bench, they just re-signed Steven Adams, who had a great playoff series. He allows you to kind of switch things up with Sengun, get a different look with his rebounding and his defensive prowess, his rim protection. And they also ran some double big lineups too, so they can get some humongous lineups out there when you run Sengun and Steven Adams and Kevin Durant, and at the point guard. Then you add in another wing like Tari Eason. I'm not too sure what their guard situation is going to look like. I would assume they're going to want some more from Reed Shepherd. Aaron Holiday, he was pretty solid for certain stretches for them. Maybe they sign a guy in free agency. I'm not really sure. But this team, again, is looking absolutely amazing. If I had to give a grade for this trade right now, I'm super close to giving them an A+. Like I've mentioned time and time again already, The fit is perfect. What they gave up, the value exchange is very, very good. I'm not going to give them an A plus though, because that would be a perfect trade. So I'm very handedly giving them an A. I think they hit it out the park. Amazing for the Houston Rockets. I cannot wait for next season to see this team together. And now to switch focus over to the Phoenix Suns. I really don't love this trade for them. Obviously, I know Kevin Durant, he already said, I want to get traded. They announced they will be trading him. They did not have a lot of leverage for the 37-year-old guy that was on the last year of his contract that wants out. I understand that they weren't getting the true value back for Kevin Durant. But when I look at this, man, I don't love it. First, I want to look at the draft compensation. The 10th overall pick, I do think that is probably the best draft capital that they can get back for a guy like Kevin Durant. It is a confirmed lottery pick. If you were to trade for a pick in the future, you don't know if that's going to be anywhere from 1 to 14 to 23 to wherever it is. Getting a solidified lottery top 10 pick, I think, is solid value. I'm not much of a draft expert, so I'm not going to tell you what guys could be in the range, what they should look out for, or anything like that. I'm going to wait to see who they draft, then I'll do my deep dive into that and kind of see like that going forward. But I do like that they got a top 10 overall pick in this. I do think that these 5 second-round picks are the Rockets just being very stubborn and saying, no, we're not giving you another first-round pick. You get this one this year. That's it. We'll throw you these 5 seconds to make you happy. And I guess if that's the best you can get, that's the best you can get. I do wish they got at least one more future, like even lottery protected first round pick, or, on a whim, maybe one of their own first round picks back. Probably not, though. That's a little bit of a long shot. But then you look at the players they get back. Dillon Brooks, like I mentioned, he is a great starter, great role player, great defender. Even can bring in some, locker room presence and leadership role from him. I do like that acquisition. Not that they're going to be competing for the championship or anything, but I do think that it's important to bring those type of guys on your team. So shout out to Dillon Brooks. I think he's obviously going to start for this team. The young guy that they get back, though, being Jalen Green, I'm not too happy about. I don't want to pile up on Jalen Green because I know his perception is very up and down. I just don't love the fit here next to a guy like Devin Booker. They're both true shooting guards in my eyes. I know D-Book has ran some point guard throughout his career, but I definitely see both of these guys as score-first 2 guards. So I don't love the fit there being your starting backcourt, And then also you add in the fact that they still have Bradley Beal on the roster. So their arguably three best players on their team are now all going to be the same position of shooting guard. And I know there were reports that they were also looking at guys like Reed Shepherd, who coincidentally is also a shooting guard, or maybe even Jabari Smith Jr. Like I've said many times on this channel, I am very high on Jabari Smith Jr. I would have loved if they traded for him in this trade package. I know when you look just on paper, you would probably say Jalen Green is a better basketball player than Jabari Smith Jr. I just really like what Jabari can bring with his length, his defensive capabilities, shooting the ball. I think he has maybe even a little bit of self-creation he can unlock in his game too. So I really, if I was Phoenix, would have stuck hard on getting Jabari Smith as my young piece or my young player. But they went for Jalen Green, and again, we never know what Jalen Green can be because he will go on weak stretches of averaging an efficient 40 points per game and being a three-point sniper, getting downhill with his athleticism. There's a lot to like about Jalen Green. My thing, though, is there's a lot to dislike about him, and that is kind of what rubs me the wrong way with this trade. Overall, though, I do think the Phoenix Suns are in one of the toughest situations to be in out of any team in the NBA. Like I mentioned, before they traded KD, they had no leverage for him, so that kind of, handicapped them in a way. Also, having Bradley Beal with his no trade clause handicaps them in a way. Having barely any draft capital going forward handicaps them in a way. So it's going to get very ugly before it gets good again in Phoenix, and for you Phoenix Suns fans, I'm very sorry that that's going to have to happen, but I do think that this is the beginning of just ripping that Band-Aid off. They're going to have to break it down before they build it back up, and we're in the beginning of the demolition process. If I had to give this trade a grade, though, for the Suns, I'm probably going to give them a C+, maybe a B-, but I'm going to lock it in at a C+. Like I said, the draft capital, I think they did okay, but I do wish they got a little bit more. And then also, when you look at the players that they get back, I definitely think they could have got a better young piece to center this around besides Jalen Green. But overall, it's okay. We knew they had to trade KD away. Now they did it. We got to see what their moves are going forward. What about you guys, though? Let me know in the comments below what you think of this trade. Who do you think won the trade? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious in this one, but what do you think the Rockets are going to look like next year? Where do you think they'll be in the standings? Let me know in the comments below. Love having these conversations with you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.